First and foremost, I would like to begin by giving all praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to the hopefully elect. Right? So, the title of this video will be Keep the Main Thing the Main Thing. Right? Keep the main thing the main thing. And of course, we know the main thing being what? Just truth. Right? The scriptures, the book. These teachings, the gospel, whatever name you want to attribute to it, right? As long as it's dealing with Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah, that's the main thing, right? Of course, as we know, brothers have daily lives, brothers have jobs and things of that nature that they have to deal with, right? Your daily life, but at the end of the day, again, this truth, right? When it comes to doing the work, right? Having faith in Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah, that's the main thing, right? And that's the most important thing, right? Everything else is extracurricular. Everything else is, of little importance, right? Everything else is, should be put on the back burner, right? But this truth is what's going to get you into the kingdom, right? This truth is what puts you in the kingdom of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah, right? The kingdom of heaven. That's the ultimate goal, right? What we're pursuing is, that crowning ceremony that Ezra talks about in 2nd Ezra chapter 2, right? Where he asked the angel, what's going on, and then he told him, this Yahweh Shah was crowning those who, roughly paraphrasing, stood so stiffly for the name of the Lord, man, and that stood so stiffly. That's going into, everything, right? Putting off putting off the natural man, putting on that new garment, not putting that old wine into new bottles, right? So on and so forth, basically ignoring the world and realizing that you have to follow and down the path that Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shah followed down, right? That path less traveled, like the scriptures say, for many are called, but few are chosen, roughly paraphrasing, right? Or like it tells you in the book of 2nd Esdras also, there are few that be saved, like a wave is greater than a drop, So what's the main thing? The main thing is being a part of that drop, right? The main thing is getting to that kingdom and just really just doing the work. As we know, we're just vessels, right? But the lesson is inspired, from the brother Naaman. He sent this the scripture to the group chat, right? Luke 10, right? So that's where this lesson is inspired from, and I'll just get straight to it, right? Because again, it's all in the spirit of what keeping the main thing, right? So we're just going to it. This account, Martha and Mary, right? This is Luke 10:38. It says, "Now it came to pass as they went, that he entered into a certain village, and a certain woman named Martha received him into her house. And she had a sister called Mary, which sat at Yahweh Shah's feet, and heard his word. But Martha was cumbered about much serving, and came to him and said, Lord, dost thou not care that my sister have left me alone to that my sister have left me to serve alone? Bid her therefore that she help me," right? And you got to think, this is like, that homeboy that you got, that so-called friend that you have in the world that thinks that you should be doing something contrary to the work, right? This is that homeboy that tells you, it might be an altercation, and that's gonna be the one that says, "But you gonna let him say that to you, right? You gonna let him say that? You can't let him get away with that, right? That's gonna be the one that gets you into trouble, right? That's gonna be the one that keeps you on that left hand side, man. Or rather, places you on that left hand side. He's gonna encourage you to do the things that the world would have you to do, things that are less important, rather than doing like Yahweh Shah told us to do, be wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove, so on and so forth, right? That's going to be the one that tells you, to to start back selling, shit on the corners, whatever, right? He gonna be the one to tell you, you know, anything, right? Go lay with that man's wife. She was looking at you anyway. She wanted you. You ain't go to her. She wanted you, or you know how Jake do. I don't know him. I don't know him. He don't know me, or what would he do if it was my girl? Them type of Jakes, right? This is that same spirit, right? Trying to um, like the scriptures tell you, quench not the spirit, right? But verse 41 it says, and Yahweh shall answer and said unto her, Martha, Martha, thou art careful and troubled about many things, right? You're troubled about many things, meaning what? You're preoccupied with a lot of things that don't matter, right? You worried about too much in the world, man. You got too much dip on your chip, right? But verse 42 brings it all together, right? It says, but one thing is needful. Only one thing is needful, not all the other shit in the world, not the job, not the women, not the cars, clothes, hoes, money, um, you know, pleasing your boss, working for notoriety or anything of that nature. None of those things matter or are needful except for one. Like it says, starting at the top of verse 42 again, it says, but one thing is needful, and Mary have chosen that good part, which shall not be taken away from her. What's that good part? The truth, the scriptures. That's what she did there to do. She came to Yahushua's feet to sit and listen and learn, right? The same way that we must do when it comes to these scriptures, right? Keeping that main thing, which is these scriptures. This is, a matter of fact, I'm gonna title this one thing is needful. That's what the title is gonna be. Because only one thing is needful, and that's these scriptures, right? Of course, you have, other things going on, but Slaki, and let me not forget prophecy. These are the things that you need to be focused upon, right? Because the end of this world is coming, right? The end of America is going to be destroyed. It's going to be burnt up with a fervent heat, right? The nuclear missiles, World War III, all the ICBM missiles, all these things are going to come to pass. The MOTB, right? The CBDC, right? MOTB meaning the mark of the beast, which is the RFID chip, right? And then the CBDC, which is the central bank, the central banking digital currency system, right? The B system, the NWO, the New World Order, all of these things are coming to pass. So you have to be aware of these things, right? That's keeping the main thing. That's learning what is needful, right? Because look, 2 Timothy 2:4, no man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life. When you're being a soldier, like it says in the verse above, you're being a soldier for Yahushua, right? Yahushua HaMashiach. When you're being that soldier, you're not going to entangle yourself with the affairs of this world. These things won't bother you. Of course, you might get vexed in the spirit, but that's just because you think righteously and you hate, when you see, wickedness, like David said, roughly paraphrasing, what the Lord hates, he hates, right? The Lord hates Esau, so therefore we hate Esau, right? To make it simple, right? But starting from the top of verse 4 again, it says, no man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life. So that includes the women, your job, maybe even your kids, right? Depending on how old your kids are, of course. It says that he may please him who have chosen him to be a soldier. Like the scriptures say, ye have not chosen me, but I have chosen you. Roughly paraphrasing, right? If you're chosen, you got to treat that with the utmost respect and diligence, right? This truth wasn't just given to just anybody. Everybody can't get this. That's why, when you first come to the truth, you may be on fire. You want to tell your family, your friends, and it seems like they make you seem like you're crazy. And you just trying to figure out how don't you understand, because it's so clear to you, right? But why is it so clear to you? It's because Yahweh Bashim Yahushua gave you the spirit to be able to understand. Like it talk about in the book of Romans, let their eyes be darkened. And that's what's happened. Right? Their eyes are darkened. The people's eyes are darkened. Jake's eyes are darkened. So keeping the main thing, not being entangled with the affairs of this life, that's your eyes not being darkened. That's your eyes being open. That's your understanding showing, so on and so forth. Right? And lastly, I'm gonna read this, unless the spirit has me go somewhere else. But it's the second Esdras 14 and 14. Right? It says, "Let go from thee mortal thoughts, cast away the burdens of man, put off now the weak nature." Right? The mortal thoughts, again, the things of this world that don't have any meaning, like it talk about, in the book of Ecclesiastes, right? What did he say? Basically he looked upon the earth and saw all is vain. Nothing matters on this earth. As far as, worldly things, of course. Right? The burdens of man, again, this should be, of course, take this with a grain of salt, but this should be a stressless life, because we understand none of this matters. And that's why the elders, they teach that stoicism. Nothing should get you, just riled up to where you crashing out. That's the burdens of man, man. You shouldn't give a fuck. Because honestly, being a man, if you have about your shot, you don't really got shit anyway. Unless he may bless you with things of that nature. But we understand that riches don't come in this life. Right? That comes in the kingdom. We're just here to maintain that daily bread. That's all we need. Daily bread. You only need the things that's convenient for you. All the extra shit, that's exactly what it is. Extra. Right? Verse 15, it says, "And set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times." Right? We're ready to get out of here. We're ready to flee from these times. All the thoughts, you got, again, of course, brothers got bills due. Maybe some brothers got child support. Things of that nature. But at the end of the day, Yahweh Shema Shah is faithful, and he'll provide. Right? But the quicker we out of here, the better. Right? Which is, again, why we're hastening to flee from these times, man. Verse 16, it says, "For yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. For look how much the world shall be weaker through age. So much more evil, so much the more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein." Right? The world has gotten worse and worse and worse. Worse and worse and worse, man. Especially Jake and Eve. They're the worst of the worst. Esau cracking down. It's a lot of shit going on, man. But ultimately, that's why you got to keep the main thing, right? Like Mary did what? She understood what? That one thing is needful. So ultimately, that's the lesson, man. You got to keep the main thing, and understand, what comes with this life. And honestly, what comes with this life is nothing. You get nothing from this life. Your reward is in heaven. Right? We don't seek a reward from these men. We don't seek a reward in this life. You seek your reward is in heaven with Yahweh Shai. Like what did he tell you in Revelation? I think it's 21. Might be 22. Revelation 22:7. Well, no, that's not what I wanted. There you go. 22:12, right? Revelation 22:12, it says, "And behold, I come quickly." It's just talking about Yahushua, right? "And my reward is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be." That's where your reward is with Yahushua, man. the kingdom. Because when he comes, he's bringing the kingdom. Right? So I ended with that, man. Lord willing, this is edifying. Gonna end by giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the hopefully lit.